look, I don't want to say I'm hopeless. I just don't care. I just don't care enough about these places unless it directly involves the security of American citizens. Let them fight. And if we think it gets to the point where it's a threat to us, destroy them. Look, there's good news here. And because we're not at war here, Gerald. You and I were on the same side.
Sure.
But it's time. The good news is there's going to be another war in the Middle East.
Oh, good. Yes.
You know, and I know you're saying like it ever stopped. No, but it's just kind of a different
continuation
version of war. And then maybe we'll be getting involved as it relates to our foreign policy here. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this. You think the United States should get involved with what's going on in Syria and Assad? You agree with Biden? You agree with Lindsay Graham? Or do you agree with Donald Trump and Vance? It is kind of a binary choice here at this point.
We made the right choice, America.
Yes. So there's a lot of fiction out there. There are some facts out there. We're going to try and separate that and make all the references available to you so you can kind of understand the timeline. But after over a decade of civil war, in really a short amount of time with more counterfeit Adidas tracksuits than I've seen in my life, the Assad regime has fallen in Syria in really a matter of days.
A momentous day in the Middle East. The family dynasty that controlled Syria for more than half a century is no longer in power, with President Bashar al-Assad having fled the country as rebel forces closed in on the capital, Damascus.
Those bullets have to come down, boys. I will step on his face.
I love how they took time to steal the chairs.
I know. Like, what are you going to do?
The incoming government's going to be like, hey, where do we sit?
Also, how ballsy is the guy that's honking his horn at the guys with the AK-47?
Yeah. Hey, get out of the street.
Hey, that's the back lane, asshole!
Well, you didn't see their bumper sticker. It said, honk if you love bullets.
Oh. Yeah. You got some guy with a folding table and $10,000 chairs at his house.
There's one guy with an AK in his car ready to go mess stuff up, but he's like looking at the HOV lane like, no, I'm not a monster.
Yeah.
So, let me give you a quick timeline. And it's silly because it's a silly place. And I mean this, the Middle East is a silly place. Let me set this up for you really quickly, okay? It's hard for me to care unless it involves American security directly. This area of the world has never gotten it right. That is because of their ideology. If you want to if you in your 21st century very comfortable bubble want to understand it, these jihadists are 13th century religious extremists. They have not changed. They have not evolved. There has never been a place where Islam has achieved governmental power and not become a corrupt totalitarian regime. Just give it a decade. Take any country at any point. It's never worked. So let's stop trying to fix it. I don't think we should get involved unless it's with the intent of breaking stuff, converting them, subjugating them. Otherwise, let's stop spending money. But let me give you a quick recap. You can comment below if you disagree. November 30th, that's when the rebel fighters, they captured Aleppo, fun to say. And then less than 2 weeks later, they captured Damascus, which basically is what ended the Assad regime. It's been there for decades.
Yeah.
And Gary Johnson actually offered this take on the situation.
Aleppo. And what is Aleppo? You're kidding. No.
Aleppo.
Yeah, he still doesn't know.
So now
I think it's like a medicine.
I think he thought it was like an elf in A Christmas Story. Oh, Aleppo. He made the doll that warmed Santa's heart. Now,
Rambo's brother.
According to the Russian media, yesterday, Bashar al-Assad arrived in Moscow. So that's what they're saying. The rebels were basically able to take over everything so quickly because some people are making the point that Russia, Iran are busy right now. They have their hands full.
They do, yes.
And
they're the only reason he was staying in power in the first place.
Effectively,
right?
yes.
So they were
exactly.
kind of propping him up.
Exactly. Kind of like the Castros for a while. With,
exactly.
With all the Soviets. And we do actually have exclusive footage, though, of how Assad managed to escape. Hello? Is anyone there? I think you forgot to make air holes. I have to make pee-pee. You hate to see that, even
That's
though,
true.
you know, your humanity gets the better of you. So it's time for a new segment, Fact or Fiction. That seemed way too serious for us. Now,
It also kind of seemed like a party.
yeah, it did.
All right. It also
Where's my
seemed
glow
like a
stick?
good stinger, and we can make them.
I didn't know that we were going to have house music. So let's go through some things that you may be hearing. All references available at loudwithcrowder.com, link in the description. So is it fact or fiction, the idea that Syria is now free? You may be hearing that. We rule this one fiction.
Way fiction.
That's fun. So, there's a very strong chance, and by that I mean I would bet my bottom dollar that Syria's probably going to get quite a bit worse.
Way worse.
So, HTS, I want to make sure that I have this correct in my pronunciation. If I don't get it correct, terrorists, please forgive me. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, we'll call them HTS. It's a designated terrorist organization.
They're very
right?
forgiving, by the way, especially for pronunciation.
Yes, they are. Look, we get it. It's hard for me. It's like the TH in English. We don't have it. So the group, to give you an idea, who are at the center of a lot of this, they were founded as basically an Al-Qaeda affiliate, Al-Qaeda adjacent for those in real estate. And the ISIS leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has also played a role in helping to form this group.
Which is really weird. ISIS and Al-Qaeda getting together to form a group.
I know. It's like, guys, look, there's more that we have in common that makes us different.
Is that like when Dave Grohl went to the Foo Fighters?
Yes.
Something, yes.
So this group also, they've been consistently targeting and killing Syrian Christians. The group of people who, when Barack Obama was president, we didn't actually grant asylum, less than 1%. You may not remember that. We brought in a bunch of military-aged single Muslim males. Less than 1% were Christians from the Middle East, specifically places like Syria, who were fleeing persecution, being burned alive in cages.
Yeah.
HTS is one of the groups largely responsible for that.
Yeah, and by the way, so there were a lot of Christians celebrating this. You heard them ringing church bells and celebrating. Now, they're the group probably that needs the most prayers right now. They were persecuted under the Assad regime. Of
course.
But not nearly as bad as people think they will be persecuted under a regime that has zero kind of, issue with burning Christians in cages.
They have no guardrails.
Right? So exactly. They're not going to have any problem at doing that, and probably not going to have the world looking on for much of it. So
no.
You really need to be praying for Christians, and I hope they're either getting out or making sure they're taking the proper precautions.
Let me tell you this. The only language that people like these groups like HTS understand is Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah.
The only language they understand is barbarism and being more effectively violent. You need to understand this. This is why the Islamic world is as it be, and it do. And there is some good news. There is some good news because the leader of HTS said that actually you needn't worry because as of an hour ago, they're like super moderate now.
Your group has had affiliations with Al-Qaeda, with ISIS, and now you are projecting this image of a moderate leader and a moderate group. What is HTS right now?
Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is one of the factions in the region, just like all the others. Now we're talking about a larger project. We're talking about building Syria. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is merely one detail of this dialogue, and it may dissolve at any time. It's not an end in itself, but a means to perform a task confronting this regime. Once that task is complete, it will transition to a state of governance, institutions, and so on.
Oh, okay. So they're planning, government institutions,
right?
Perhaps a democratic process.
There we go. He'll step out of the way.
Yes, that sounds nice.
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm getting word. It's time actually for a Polymarket check-in. It looks like there will be a 0% chance.
That's zero
of this happening.
That went zero fast.
Yeah, really. Not one bet. Not one. Even Buster Douglas at 42 to 1 odds had like one.
Even HTS is like, we're not going to even try to.
No. Well, we don't want to get caught from insider trading. Hawk to a coin, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
so she's going to be fitted for an orange jumpsuit.
Maybe.
So they're saying, we're going to step down. This will be more. And this is why, look, I don't want to say I'm hopeless. I just don't care. I just don't care enough about these places unless it directly involves the security of American citizens. Let them fight. And if we think it gets to the point where it's a threat to us, destroy them. That's my point of view. Either all in or all out. I'd love to, we'll take your chats later. That's my opinion. And when they say they're going to be somewhat moderate or creative, the reason I don't believe them, is it, where have we, I feel like we've heard this before.
Women will be afforded all their rights, whether it is
the guy looking at him like, don't you say
or
it.
other activities, because women are a key part of society. And we are guaranteing all their rights
That's
within
Afghanistan,
the
right?
limits of Islam.
These scenes have caused outrage around the world. Young Afghan women turned away from universities after the Taliban banned them effective immediately. The latest decree to crack down on women's rights and freedoms.
After 14 months of hijab order, the hijab was not observed. They were wearing makeup and wearing dresses, like they were going to a wedding ceremony.
Who could have called this but thousands of people who've been there over the last 20 years?
Yes, exactly. Who could have called it but everyone?
Jeez.
For those who don't remember, that was the Taliban, by the way. Like, no, yes, we're going to have gender studies.
Very good, yes.
You know, we get it. They won't have to ride in the back seat. They'll be able to drive. And they're buying it. They're buying it. They believe it.
We will holster our stones.
Yes, exactly. I carry inside the waistband appendix carry. Good place for limestone. Now, let's go to...
Of course this is still happening. This is going to keep happening.
Of course.
War's going to keep happening. War in the Middle East is like Rosie's herpes, okay?
Yes.
It's forever.
Always.
Yes, it is.
It keeps on giving.
Just lurking.
At least I like the security of having a constant. Now, let's go to this. Is this fact or fiction? You're hearing this on social and you're hearing this in the media. Oh, this may be good for the region. The truth is kind of mixed. Let me explain this to you. It does hurt Iran's ability to spread terror, but it does open up some other potential chaos. And again, this is why it's just not a situation where you want to get involved. So Assad, Syria, it was a pretty important link in Iran's what they called the Shia Crescent, right, which was it connects Iran to Lebanon through Syria. So now it's going to be harder for them to support Hezbollah and Hamas.
Yeah,
we know
but
that Iran is one of the...
now.
For now. I know.
What do you think, that Iran's going to go, oh, darn.
Yes.
Exactly. No, they're going to find another way.
Of course.
They're going to work with whoever becomes the main leader there.
Right. Which, again, I don't want to leave you with a hopeless message, but the good news is if you're in the United States of America, it probably won't affect you that much. And I know you're going to say that's so selfish. Look at all the suffering going on in the world. And to those I say, if you are a Democrat, shut up, because you're complaining about patriarchy and you're complaining about women's rights here in the United States, where women aren't allowed to go to college or even come forward with accusations of rape. So, yeah, we're enjoying sitting up here in our ivory tower because we live in the Western world. Thank God. You condemn the Western world. So let's look outward. What is the rest of the world like? Oh, here we go. Syria and all of the Middle East. You want to do Africa next? Here's the thing. Potential power vacuum could be created here, right? You have a bunch of groups who have an interest in Syria right now. You have HTS, you have ISIS, you have the Kurdish forces. They made a comeback after the gassing, so good for them. You have Turkey, you have Iran, you have Russia. No one knows how this plays out.
Yeah.
So let it play out. Either destroy them or let it play out.
Yeah. By the way, anybody who says, and I know I've gotten some notes over here, and this is a fair point, like Iran doesn't really play well with some of these guys, and neither do the Russians, but that has never mattered. That has never mattered.
Right.
You find a way, or you kill them, or you replace them, or you put somebody else in power, or you pay them enough, or you do whatever you have to do, and they will find a way to work the thing that they have been doing this entire time, which is funding Hezbollah,
right?
Which is sending rockets, which is doing everything that they've always done. This is not going to change anything. It may make it harder. It may make them take a pause for a minute. It may cost a little bit more money, but they're going to do what they're going to do.
Right. Good. Next one, fact or fiction, that the United States, and this is where you see the swamp, the Democrats, I don't know where Code Pink is, and the rhinos out there, to use the terms, I hate using those terms, but these are the terms that you understand. The United States has to do something, has to intervene. No, that I will definitively state is fiction. Okay, I think that the only interest the United States should have in Syria is stopping any type of terror threat to us. If it doesn't exist right now, it's none of our business. We've never gotten it right.
Right.
Rebuilding, I don't know if you know this, we rebuilt a lot. Afghanistan, Iraq, by the way, a little bit in Syria.
They tend
worked
to
like a charm.
Yeah, they tend to hate us for the rebuilding. They hate us for the bombing. They hate us for the rebuilding. Why are we doing anything? And by the way, I don't want to hear people take this and extrapolate it out. They're saying, oh, they're going to export terrorism. We can't let it become a hotbed for terrorism, because that would be grounds to go into, I don't know, half the world and make sure that we have a presence there. If we do something in places like this, it has to be specific threats, in, out, and that's it. Done. Not like military going in full force. I'm talking like 6 guys dropping in, doing the thing, and getting out.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
And you know what helps, by the way, with stopping the exporting of terror? Having border security and having a travel ban from hotbeds for terrorism. Sorry, that was racist.
Yeah, that's true.
So instead, we should spend billions of dollars on sending our troops into foreign countries. We don't want to have a wall and don't want to have a ban from countries that Well, yeah, they happen to be Muslim because they've never gotten it right. That would be racist. Let's just leave the borders wide open. Let's the 20 million undocumented aliens come into this country in the last 3 years and hope for the best. And then, we're also paying for Ukraine to wage war with Russia. Well, sorry, Russia and Ukraine in war. I don't want to say Ukraine's the one waging war, but you get the point. Paying hundreds of billions of dollars. Let's spend hundreds of billions of dollars more to go into Syria and to repeat Iraq. Or let's just make sure we're safe. And let's start enforcing the laws that we have here. Instead, you have former Vice President Biden, respect the office, saying that the United States needs to and will be active in rebuilding the. I don't want to be coarse. The shithole that is Syria.
As we all turn to the question of what comes next, the United States will work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risks. We will engage with all Syrian groups, including within the process led by the United Nations, to establish a transition away from the Assad regime toward independent, sovereign, I'm going to say it again, sovereign Syria. The United States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief, to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war and generations of brutality by the Assad family.
No.
Yeah, it's just never ending.
How about no humanitarian relief at this point? How about nothing? How about no war and no relief? Handle your own crap.
Is there a good group of freedom fighters there? Like a good group? No, I mean, like a good group that would set up like a government of, by, and for the people.
Yeah, you know what you would have to do if they were modern crusaders, and I mean that.
Yeah.
If you had a Christian group who were just as extreme and willing to eradicate Islamic terrorism in that region, that would be the only group that you could support. People say, "Oh, how good?" Yep. Sorry, it's my litmus test. And you know what? Considering that those Christians there actually burned alive simply for their faith, that would be the group to support. There's no large enough group that could actually wage any kind of a civil war there. So outside of that, again, look to every country in that cesspool of filth and sadness of the world, Middle East, the Arabic world. Find me one that's gotten it right. Which is why I disagree with Lindsay Graham, but, you probably saw that coming.
Yep, a little bit.
He even went as far as saying that we probably need some ground operations there to handle ISIS. He said, I appreciate the airstrike and ISIS terrorists in Syria, but it will not be enough.
A little gayer, please.
We have to ensure that the roughly 50,000 ISIS prisoners
Thank you.
in northeastern Syria, being primarily held by Kurdish forces, are not released.
Hey, you first, Lindsay. Yes. Put on some body armor and get out there and get your dirty work done.
Hey, surprise, surprise. Lindsay's in favor of war. Okay, fine.
Well, that's where the boys are. Full steam ahead.
Ring, ring, ring goes the trolley.
Clang, clang. Ding, ding, ding goes the bell. I'll be in the mess hall baking cookies for the boys. So here's the good news. Luckily, President Trump, some people call him former president, incoming president, I call him President Trump, and Vance, they both basically signaled that the United States should completely stay out of it. Hey, there you go. One of these things is not like the other. Also, he did, President Trump, use this to pressure Russia into some peace negotiations. Yeah. Again, the art of the deal. He said, Assad is gone. He has fled his country. His protector, Russia, led by Vladimir Putin, was not interested in protecting him any longer. Russia and Iran are in a weakened state right now, very weak. A lot of people say how weak they are, sad. One because of Ukraine and a bad economy, the other because of Israel and its fighting success. Likewise, Zelensky and Ukraine would like to make a deal and stop the madness. There should be an immediate ceasefire and negotiations should begin. I know Vladimir well, very well. This is his time to act. China can help. The world is waiting. So,
my favorite part was the Brady Bunch. Russia.
Her boyfriend, George Glass. Oh, Jan, you love to lie. We caught you. Marsha's fine. Now, we're back at. I think you know where we are. We're back at the. It's time to repatriate. That's where I think we are.
There are Syrians in other countries too.
In Netherlands.
Yeah.
And in Sweden.
God, Syria must be empty.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. You're fleeing a country that is a shithole, has always been a shithole, and always will be a shithole, really that entire region of the world. And so in claiming you are entitled to asylum to not even the nearest neighboring nation, but any nation you want to go, you go there and you want to instate the kind of government that you just fled? And the only people dumb enough to play this game are those in the Western world dealing with their crippling white guilt? Hey, how about go back, fix your own country? And we certainly are not going to, hey, you know, and even more, if you come here, first off, full stop, just go back to your own country. But we're not going to adapt to you, you adapt to us. That means you don't get to yell Allahu Akbar or voice any kind of support for Sharia law. Not because it's a First Amendment issue, but we're talking about something that cannot be juxtaposed with the Constitution, with freedom of speech. Islam is a system of laws. It's a political prescription, just as much as it is a religion. That's the big difference between Islam and Christianity, and it is an active threat to the Western world. You don't open your doors to that. Let's start with here at least reinstating the racist travel ban. Remember from Donald Trump, it was 7 countries, included Syria, by the way.
Maybe that was a good one.
Yeah, maybe that was a good one. Where are you guys at this point? Hey, leftists, so let me ask you this. In one hand, this is what we're presenting. Don't get involved. Don't wage war, but don't rebuild. No humanitarian effort. Let them handle it. On the other hand, you have go in, ground operations, airstrikes, drone strikes, try and help with the peaceful transition of power, and because of the fallout, bring in tens or hundreds of thousands of people from the third world who have a vested interest in destroying us. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Don't get involved. Ban travel from these, ban any immigration from these countries. Comment below.
I think that's a fair point. And Israel's response, Israel doesn't get it right all the time, but their response was like, yeah, we're going to just blow a lot of stuff up.
We're going to blow a lot of stuff up.
We don't know who's coming into power, and you guys might not play well, so all those munitions depot, those things are gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there for a little while.
Yeah, smart move.
Yeah, weapons depot gone.
And they need to rebuild their country, so I say send them all back, all hands on deck.
There you go, there you go.
Build it up, come on, put a tool belt on.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll give them like a Home Depot shopping spree. And send them back.
Oh, like that TV show.
Yeah, and it's just like my dad used to say when he was a kid, he'd go to a fast food restaurant, and if they brought out like a really sloppy, he'd go, look, make mine look like the picture, okay? That's what they, just go back to your country and go, okay, Syria, make this country look like that country, and point to any like American or Western
or one that
skyline.
borders it, like Turkey.
Yeah, like
there you go.
Make your country look like our country. Then we'll consider having any kind of open lines of communication. Beyond that, I don't really have a whole lot to offer on this. Hopefully it's helped you. This has been Fact or Fiction. Hey, if you like this video, you want to see more, you can hit the notification bell to know when more videos are up, or just watch weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. We live stream. It's actually live where we interact with you. And we are so happy to be here with you because it's a known fact that content creators online are the happiest among us.